and he would tell us this whole history of like when he created this and when he originally wrote this, and you're just going, I'm at work. Like this is
Yeah.
my job right now. I mean, like it's like doing a movie for Disney, and then like Walt Disney walking in the door and being like, well, when I originally wrote this, I was blah, 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 and when I originally started or like being at Disneyland and Walt, being like, yeah, this was our first ride, and when I first came up with the concept for Disneyland, and you're like, I'm at Disneyland with Walt Disney right now. Like this is unbelievable. I'm playing Spider-Man. And then he'd be like, oh, you're a great Spidey. Drake, you're doing a great job. You're a great Spidey. And I'm like, this is wild, man. That was the coolest experience.
That's like, you're like, wait, not only would I do this for free, I would actually pay for this experience. Thank you very
100%.
much.
Absolutely. That's like, how am I at work right now? How am I like, I would pay for this experience.
Totally iconic. Well, in your Mass Singer clue package, you said, yeah, pretty cool. I ruled the school. And then you said, but Hollywood can be a little cold. So I ran away and went into a deep freeze that lasted for years. But now I found the courage to come back and stand in the spotlight once again. So obviously, look, we're not going to talk about any of this here today, but like, your story, which you were so courageous to tell over the past few years, was kind of like the headline when people, thought of you. Like, does this really feel like a rebirth? Like, there's millions of people watching The Masked Singer. I know you've been doing music. I want to talk about one of your songs in particular after this, but like, you have been doing music and you've been touring this whole time, but like, just being on this stage and like in front of the world and there's millions of people watching, like, does this feel like a rebirth?
Yeah, it really does. And I I feel so comfortable on stage and I'm performing all the time and in a live audience experience. And um but being on TV is my home. Ever since I was a little kid, and through the Amanda Show and through Drake and Josh, and then on to what I've done, after that, it really feels great to and because I've been focusing so much on music that I haven't really done much acting or been in front of the camera. And so yeah, it's a really really cool experience um to be back. And it was so cool to, for example, to share it with someone like Nick Cannon, who is from my past and who I grew up with, and who was like, we were on the same network and we were working on the same stages and working on the same shows. And so it was kind of this like, whoa, like I'm kind of back where I belong. It felt really nice.
What about you mentioned the Amanda show? I am such a fan of Amanda Bynes, like, but I don't want to sway you. Like, what was it like working on that show and working with her?
I mean, she was a genius. I mean, it was, for me, it was really cool because I grew up on all that. And so to work with her was like working with an icon. I was like, oh my God, like I grew up on all of your stuff and I know all of your characters, and to be able to be doing scenes with you now and making people laugh with you was an incredible experience. And learning so much from her, because she was just always on. There was, you know, never moments where, I mean, she was just, and all these different characters and everything. I mean, it came so naturally to her that it just was like something that I was like, okay, I need to figure out what she's tapping into to be so great.
Was there something you learned from her? Like one thing you can think of?
I think just, professional. I mean, not even just one thing. I mean, so
Right.
much professionalism, always being on, finding the joke, finding points where like maybe there's not a joke that's written, but finding the comedy in things that maybe the writers didn't intend for, but through your performance and through your physicality. I mean, she's Carol Burnett. I mean, I would liken her to, somebody who like Dick Van Dyke, like who's just so naturally, they just make you laugh with the way they move their body. There's these things. It's like she doesn't need to even tell a joke. She just like looks a certain way or moves her body a certain way, and you're like, you just got funny bones. Like you just have funny bones. Like it's just in you, there's just, you don't even have to think about it. You just feel it. So I got a lot of that, learned a lot of that from her. Yeah.
So interesting. I never thought of Carol Burnett, but now I totally see it.
That's what and I always felt like, especially once Josh came on the show, I was like, man, this is so cool. It's like Carol Burnett and Tim Conway and Harvey Korman. And we're like, this is, because I grew up on that stuff. So getting the opportunity to kind of live that, it was sort of like being on like a ride simulator at an amusement park where you get to choose like, okay, pick your favorite show or pick who you want to do, and then like go and do it in reality is really cool.
I love it. Your song, Holly Wouldn't, I remember when this came out a few months ago. It was great. Like, to me, it was like a dark lyric, but it was upbeat. Like, was that intentional? Because, like, the music is upbeat and there is this dark narrative to the song. I mean, was that intentional? Because it is
Yeah,
a
I
fun
tend
song.
to do that. I tend to do that a lot. I think because there's a lot of songs that I grew up on that you kind of listen to and you're like, oh, this is like just getting me in a good mood. And then you kind of like start to dissect the lyrics and you're like, wait a minute, this is really dark. Like this is, and the juxtaposition of like that happy melody and happy sounding, uplifting, upbeat, sound juxtaposed with the dark lyric, like a song I have in another song I have on the album, I Kind of Relate. You hear the opening and the piano and everything. It sounds like it's going to be like some happy monkeys, song by the Monkees or the Beatles, and it's like this like happy sound. But then you have lyrics like, I kind of relate. I found beauty in my pain. I'm running away. All the the wrong decisions I've made. All these darker lyrics. I really have fun. Kind of that's like kind of the puzzle that you're putting together when you're writing.
Yeah, it's great. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Yvette Nicole Brown earlier this season. Did you know that she was on this show with you, Showbird, the same season?
No, you don't know who anybody is. I mean, it was a surprise to me, but when I saw it on social media, I was like, what? No way. Like, how awesome is that? Like, we got kind of had like, a little mini reunion, not reunion, kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, but it was really cool that we're on the same season. It's just a bummer that I couldn't text her and say, like, no way, you were on my season. Oh, wait, shoot, I can't tell her. Like, so I'll be excited to see her reaction tonight too.
A little Drake and Josh reunion,
We'll
right?
actually be able to share. Yeah, I had to wait to be able to kind of be like, hey, Yvette, you were on, I gotta wait to kind of share that experience with her.
Would you ever want to revisit like that particular character, like, or as like an adult or in a different format?
Yeah, I mean, I would, look, I love